So, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. Now, I have a bit of a confession. Now, you may have noticed my videos have been slightly shorter and a little less in depth, to say the least. And that is because I took a little bit of a step back. Because, look, the Kiely Rodni case, which I think affected a lot of us, it did affect me. It angered me massively, and we're going to get to this. And it was quite upsetting. You know, a lot of you will know, especially if you've been around the channel for a while. You know, I have daughters myself. I have a daughter who is the same age as Kylie. And I think when you're a parent, especially when you're a parent of a child who is around the same sort of age, you know, you put yourself in the situation of, what if that was my child? How would I react? And it was beginning to anger me and frustrate me because I felt that those who were supposed to be the ones who loved Kylie, I just felt like they had let her down. I felt that they weren't doing what I would do as a parent. I couldn't understand the way that Lindsay was behaving with Sammy. You know, I couldn't understand how a mother whose daughter had gone to a party with friends, and those friends had seemingly just up sticks and left when Kylie was in a state, and lied about that as well. I couldn't understand how she was being so kind to them. Because ultimately, the likes of Sammy had controlled the search. You know, they were enabled to be in charge of the search efforts. And I feel that right at the start, they played a huge part in directing where the search efforts were directed. You know, they had made out early on that Kylie had indeed, she must have been abducted, because she wasn't the type of girl to do the things that we would later find out that Kylie did do, or that they would say that she had done. You know, Sammy had later basically stated that the whole plan that Kylie had was to go to this party and get fucked up. So why not early days say, look, Kylie was in a mess. Her car's missing. She was driving, and I have a fear that she's gone into the water, and we need to check that. You know, law enforcement had been approached by people who were skilled divers with skilled equipment, and they had written to law enforcement in order to offer their help and expertise, and it was ignored. And when they then chased, it was then turned down. And law enforcement, they failed to find her when social media then went ahead and found her in a place that they had said that they had skillfully, with good equipment, they'd failed. And yet the family then praises law enforcement. And these are all adding up to these things that, in my mind, I'm just getting more and more and more angry. And I think it just gets to a point that you then have to take a step back and take a breather. You know, I was reading and listening to the numerous people, the medical specialists who were talking about the autopsy report. And I know the likes of Dralatina, you know, it's difficult because I think with Dra especially, she rarely wants to point people in the right direction and say, this is what I think, but she's in that position where she is, if she says too much, there could be repercussions to that. So she tries to guide you to say, look, this is what you need to be looking at, and does it exist for you to look at? Did they do this? Is there evidence of this being done? And we all know there wasn't. You know, the autopsy report was a dot the I's and cross the T's situation. That's how I feel. I feel that the conclusion had been made very early on, before Kiely had even been found. This conclusion had been done. It was a done deal. You know, we don't like to talk about the Truckee Way and do these things exist, but the harsh reality is they do exist. We live in a world where there are bad people, there are bad things that happen, there is money that pays to cover it up. And the more that we turn our eyes away from that and don't accept it, then the more it's going to happen. You know, it is a case, it seems, around this area specifically, that is bad for business, you know, to potentially have a death of this nature around these affluent people and affluent areas. It can impact things for them, and they don't want that, you know. So it's, let's get this sorted, let's get it dealt with behind closed doors. And, you know, this is something that we've done for many years, and we have flourished because of it. This is their own writings. And you can appreciate that I'm reading more and more and more and getting angrier and angrier and angrier, because I even see like comments in the videos, and, you know, people are starting to say, oh, you're turning into a broken record talking about this case. And I'm thinking, but this isn't concluded for me. This isn't finished. I haven't seen enough that is said that this is what happened. I can't. All I'm seeing is more and more evidence that people lied, that something was hidden up, and, you know, it's hard to walk away from something that you feel there is still an injustice there. And I know I've said this previously, so I am now sounding like a broken record. But, you know, I had to step back away and recalibrate. But you know, I am still looking at this in the background, as you know. You know, am I going to do any more videos about it? Yes, I think I'm going to do more videos about it, because it's pissing me off. It's pissing me off that I see where these kind of things have happened in the past, and these areas and these people and these people with money have indeed brushed it under the carpet. Tell me one aspect of this case that is clear cut. Tell me one aspect of this case that proves that Kiely went to a party, she got drunk, and she drove herself into the reservoir. It doesn't make any sense. The autopsy report doesn't prove that she was drunk. Quite the contrary, it proves that she wasn't. How did this trucky teen in an area that she was completely familiar with end up driving her own vehicle into a reservoir? I can't work it out. And I can't work it out why the mum believes it all, why she's going along. That in itself, for me, is the biggest red flag of all. The biggest red flag of all is that the mum seems to be completely fine with this conclusion. Now, maybe later on we might see something. Maybe she is working her way through her stages of grief, and at some point she's going to fucking explode. But I will ask her now, how is it that you can hug the girl who left your daughter to die? That's what we're saying. And then lie about it to completely divert the search efforts away from where she needed to be, when it seems that she knew full well what had happened to Kiely. How can you be happy about that? How can you be pleased and all right about that? And she's now continuing with this disingenuous behaviour of ignoring all of your daughter's posts when she was supposed to be a close friend. But yet she'll like the comments of your daughter's ex-boyfriend. Make it make sense. Please, someone, make all this make sense to me. Because it's done me. It's done me. I really hope this girl gets justice somehow, but I just can't see it happening. And for me, it just shows what world we live in. And it's heartbreaking that this is the world that we live in. When if you've got that, you can stop the truth coming out. And this young girl lost her life at the very, very, how can I say, at the very least, because she was given drugs by somebody, and they drove her into, or she drove herself, somebody drove her into the reservoir, who knows. And the autopsy says that she was likely deceased before she even hit the water, because no matter what people say, she didn't have any water in the lungs. And what are we putting it down to? That it's just another coincidence that she didn't have water in the lungs, and that doesn't prove anything. Well, according to multiple people that I've seen, that means everything. And this autopsy was a sham. I'll catch you all in the next one.
I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. You don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah.